Welcome, everyone, to the Global Engagement Insights podcast. I'm Steve McDonald, your host. And today we've got a very special guest. We've got Paulo Zagalo-Melo. And Paulo is the Associate Provost for Global Education at Western Michigan University. Now, Paulo, you've got an interesting background. You've been in global education for over 30 years. You also are in a rock band, and you play drums and bass, and it's great, right? Because you've got a lot of diverse interests. But today we're going to be talking specifically about internationalization and how it's just a no-brainer for higher education institutions, all the way from why is it a no-brainer? What's the case for that? You've got some really interesting stats. But we're also going to talk about then how do you get funds and resources in that strategic budgeting process to make sure that you have those resources in order to be able to fund and then execute well on the programs. But maybe take just a minute beyond the small introduction I made for you there and tell us a little bit more about your background and what you're doing right now at Western Michigan.
Okay, thank you. So at Western Michigan, as you mentioned, I'm the Associate Provost for Global Education, which means that I'm in charge of the international office here at Western Michigan University. Our international office is actually called the Haneke Institute for Global Education. And my role is to design strategy and implement strategy and projects and programs, initiatives in internationalization for Western Michigan University. As you mentioned, I've worked in this field for 30 years now. I just realized that this fall, when I actually completed 3 decades working in this area. I worked for Fulbright. That's how I stumbled upon the world of internationalization, to take a job as a financial officer for the Fulbright Commission in Portugal 30 years ago, because my background is in accounting and finance and management. So I took a job as a financial officer for this organization I knew absolutely nothing about, to be very honest, back then. I knew it was connected with the US and the US government, Department of State, the embassy, the Portuguese government as well. But I have no idea what I was getting myself into. And definitely I had no idea that it was going to be the job that changed my life and my career.
And tell me just a little bit about that, because I know you're very passionate about internationalization and what it does for students. And you were a international student as well, isn't that right?
I was twice for my master's, an international student from Portugal here to the US, and then again during my doctorate. It was a great experience. I can honestly say that I've looked at internationalization from all possible angles.